Welcome everyone. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can build a sales roleplay simulator using LiveKit's AI agent framework in Next.js. We'll set up a Python agent that acts as a potential customer, and then we'll create a React frontend that looks like a Zoom interface, which is going to have our customer's photo, camera feed, and live transcription. So what are we actually building? Once this is done, you'll have a sales training simulator that looks and feels like a real video call. You'll see a large photo of Mike Smith, who's our potential customer, centered on the screen. We're going to act as a salesman trying to help him out. Now you can choose any type of sales call, whether it be a potential customer for your SaaS, insurance, or real estate. I just chose solar for simplicity. So Mike is interested in solar panels, but has questions about the costs and benefits. Our camera feed is going to show up as a small tile in the bottom right corner as it would in a regular Zoom call. And when you speak, you'll see your words transcribed in real time at the top of the screen. Mike's going to respond naturally to us, so we're going to ask him about his concerns, explain how we could help, and discuss costs. And I kept the interface clean to simulate a real video call. So at the end, once this project is all set up, you can use it to practice your sales technique. Here's what it'll look like.
Hello, I'm Mike. I've been thinking about solar panels for a while now. My electricity bills are getting expensive. What are the benefits of solar panels?
One of the main benefits is you end up saving a lot of money because you don't have to deal with the rate increases that your utility company is going to hit you with each year. You usually end up saving between 30 to 50% each month. Do you know how much you're paying right now for power?
I've been paying around $200 a month for electricity, sometimes even more during peak summer months. That could definitely add up over time, especially with the anticipated rate increases, but I'm still concerned about the initial investment. What kind of ROI can I realistically expect? And how long do you typically see it take to break even?
Usually our customers don't put down an upfront investment. All that happens is you go from paying the utility company to paying for your solar panels. Does that kind of make sense, Mike? All right, so you guys get the gist. My sales skills are definitely not on point right now, but that's the realistic video call environment I was talking about. Let me walk you through how the sales training simulator works. When you speak, all your audio goes to LiveKit Room, which handles all the real-time communication. LiveKit is the backbone that manages all the voice streaming between you and the AI. From there, the audio gets sent to a Python agent. This agent acts as the brain of our virtual customer. It processes your speech and decides how Mike should respond. The Python agent then sends your messages to the OpenAI API, which generates Mike's realistic responses. This creates a continuous conversation loop. You speak, Mike thinks, Mike responds. Mike's response goes back through the Python agent, then through the LiveKit room, and finally to the React frontend where you see and hear everything. LiveKit also handles transcription through their built-in speech-to-text. The whole system uses Cartesia for voice synthesis and Deepgram for real-time transcription processing. The flow is you speak, LiveKit captures it, Python processes it, OpenAI generates Mike's response, and it all comes back to you through the same pipeline. It's like having a real-time conversation with someone, but the someone is an AI that can respond naturally to your sales pitch. First, let's head over to the LiveKit docs for setting up with Next.js, which is the front-end framework we'll use to build the user interface for our app. If you scroll down here to LiveKit SDKs where it says platform-specific quick starts, open this and click on Next.js. Now you see this square on the right here where it says Next.js voice agent. This is going to be a GitHub repository that LiveKit has already made for setting up a starter voice agent. So this is the repository we're going to be cloning. Click on code on the top right corner and copy the HTTP URL. Once you're in your IDE, click on open project and hit new folder. I'm going to call mine sales training project and click create. So open up a terminal, and the first thing we need to do is clone the GitHub repository that LiveKit provides. So in order to do so, run git clone and then paste in the URL that we copied from earlier. Now we have our own local repository. Just cd into the agent starter React directory. All right, so if we go back to GitHub and we scroll for a bit, what we'll see here is that once we run our code after cloning, we'll just have a basic interface where our agent will show up. However, we won't be able to speak to it yet because we have to set up all that functionality later. For now, we need to install the dependencies as seen here by running pnpm install. So let's go back to the IDE. And now we're going to run pnpm install. This is just going to install the dependencies for us. Now that all of our dependencies are installed, the next thing we have to do is set up our environment file. So LiveKit already provides this .env.example file. So what we're going to do is move that over to a .env.local file by running the copy command. So run cp.env.example into this new file called .env.local. And once we have that, we can see on the left that .env.local is just under this example file. And we'll need to paste in our LiveKit API keys. In order to get our LiveKit API key, we need to go to livekit.io and click on Start Building and log in. Once again, this is open source software, which is completely free. So you'll get to this dashboard, go to the bottom left corner and click Create New Project. Now we see our project has been created, so click on Go. Once the project is created, head over to Settings and click on API Keys and just create a new API key. Now that our API key is created, this part is what we need for our IDE, so copy these and then head back to the code. Pull up the .env.local file and paste in our API key that we just grabbed. Save this file, and now we can start our development server and test if we did everything correctly. If we run pnpm dev, our application should be running in localhost 3000, and we should see that user interface that we saw in the GitHub repo. Back in Chrome, let's go to localhost 3000. Nice. And we see here we have this interface where we can click our call, and we won't have the agent just yet because we do have to set that up. But you can see here we have this interface where you can chat, you can end the call, and the agent will be listening. So let's go back to the code and set that up. All right, so now we need to give our project a brain, and this is how the agent is going to be able to hear what we're saying and speak back with us. And we only really need a couple files to handle all this. Exit out of the React directory and make sure you're in your root directory, and then run the command mkdir livekit agent. This is going to make our agent directory, and then just cd into it. And as we see here, if we close up this React directory, it's almost like we have this one for our backend speaking to our agent, and this is like our front end directory. Before we write anything in this directory, we need to install our requirements, and LiveKit gives us a command in their docs right here. So copy it and take it back to your code. Before we run this command, we should set up a Python virtual environment, which is basically a folder that we're going to install these packages inside of. So run the command python3-m venv. And then to activate it on Mac at least, run source venv/bin/activate. Now let's paste in the command from the LiveKit docs so we can install our dependencies. Dependencies are installed. We do need to create another environment file for the LiveKit directory because we're going to be using softwares like OpenAI, Deepgram, and Cartesia for the speech-to-text models and transcription. So you can just run the command touch.env and go to this .env file that you just created. And what you're going to need to do is grab an API key from Deepgram, OpenAI, and Cartesia and paste them in like you see here. You can just pause the video and do this now. It's the same process as getting your LiveKit API key, but you do need to go to 3 separate websites. Paste in the LiveKit API keys that you got at the beginning of this tutorial, and then also these 3 right here. Once you finish getting your API keys, your .env file should look like this. Now we need to create our agent code. So add another file called agent.py, and you could do so by running the touch agent.py command. And don't worry, we're not going to be starting this from scratch because the LiveKit docs gives us our agent's file. So head over back to the docs and scroll down. We've already finished setting up our environment variables. So just scroll down to where it says agent code. And this is the agent.py file that I was talking about. So just copy that and head back to your code. Real quick, I wanted to explain to you guys what's going on in this agent.py file. So first off, we're just loading our environmental variables from the environment file that we created. Then we have this assistant class, which is just a subclass of agent, and we feed it this one-liner for instructions. This is the first thing that the LLM is going to see. It's basically the instructions we are giving our LLM on how it should act. And next we have our entry point, which is the heart of this file. First off, we have our speech-to-text model, which is Deepgram, which is going to take what we say and turn that into text. So then we can feed it into ChatGPT, which is our LLM, and it could come up with a response, which it will then feed to Cartesia, which is our text-to-speech model, basically taking this response that ChatGPT makes and turning it into speech for our agent. This Solero just helps to know when someone stops talking in our conversation, and then the turn detection is LiveKit's multilingual model for cleaner handoffs. We're going to start the session with the session.start function, which is going to join the current LiveKit room. It attaches our assistant and enables cloud-side noise cancellation with BVC, so the audio feed stays crisp. This await function is going to connect the worker, which keeps the process alive and listening for new tracks. And then to kick off a greeting, this generate reply fires a one-time greet the user and offer your assistance. So that'll be probably like, hi, how can I help? As soon as the agent lands in the room. And then back in the LiveKit docs, it says to use the turn detector, Solero, or noise cancellation plugins, you first need to download the model files. So let's go ahead and run this in the terminal. So let's paste in this command and run it. If you're using Python 3, don't forget to append the 3 right there. and then click enter. All right, we've done everything we needed to set up the agent. Now let's just test it in localhost, but in order to do that, we need to make sure that our front end is running. So cd into the front end directory. And remember, the command to run it is pnpm dev. And open up a new terminal. And we need to cd into the LiveKit agent directory. And to make sure the agent is running, you need to run the command python3 agent.py dev. Now let's head back to localhost 3000. Now back in localhost 3000, when I click the start call button, our agent should show up and speak with us.
Hello, I'm here to help you with any questions or information you might need. How can I assist you today?
Yeah, what do you know about San Francisco, California?
San Francisco, California is a vibrant city known for its iconic landmarks, diverse culture, and rich history. Here are some key points about the city.
All right, we see that our agent is showing up and we can speak with it and have a conversation. So now that we have the basic starter kit built out, we can continue to build on this. All right, so what we're gonna do is have this agent act like a potential customer, like we're in a sales call. We'll be the sales rep, and then the agent is gonna act like someone who's interested or a customer that we could be sitting down with. So the first thing that we wanna do is change this from assistant to solar customer. And instead of the instructions, you are a helpful voice agent, we're gonna change this to, you are a homeowner considering solar energy. We're interested but have concerns about cost, installation, and effectiveness. Ask realistic questions about solar panels, pricing, warranties, and installation process. Be somewhat skeptical but open-minded. Those are the instructions we're going to give to our agent. So I made this look a little bit better in giving it a personality, background, some objections it can say, and pain points. I also restated it could act as a customer, and I gave it specific rules like don't break character or give away that this is a training, and to be cooperative. The key is writing explicitly how you want this agent to act so it stays within the boundaries of a sales call and it doesn't say anything you don't want it to. You can pause the video and copy this down or just grab it from my GitHub repository, which I linked in the description. I'm going to show you how you can use custom voices. I'm going to show you how you can pick custom voices using Cartesia. So sign in after you made a Cartesia account and go to voices in the library. And then over here, it'll show you a list of different voices that you can pick from. We named our potential customer Mike Chen, so we probably would need a male voice for that. What would be the first one? Griffin is British, but we want, there we go, Carson. So if you listen to how Carson sounds,
It's nice to meet you. Hope you're having
and
a
we want to
great
use that in our
day.
project, you can just click on the three dots here and click copy ID. They also have some other options like Ethan, if you can listen.
It's nice to meet you. Hope you're having a day. It's nice to meet you.
That's how
Hope
you
you
can customize the voice of your agent. It's super easy. All you have to do is go to Cartesia, pick the one you want, and then copy the voice ID. So let's head back to the code so we can paste this in our entry point function. Let's replace this voice here with the voice ID that we just copied. And next we have to make sure that we're consistent with the class name. So this is the old assistant class name. Let's change that to what we just made, which is solar customer. And the last thing we have to change for this page is the greeting. So instead of greet the user and offer your assistance, we can say something like, greet the salesperson as Mike Chen. Say, hello, I'm Mike. I've been thinking about solar panels for a while now. My electricity bills are getting expensive. What are the benefits of solar panels? So that's the greeting that we're going to hear from our agent once we connect to the call. Let's head back to our local host and click start call. And instead of a regular voice AI assistant, it should feel like we're a sales rep and we're speaking to a potential customer.
Hello, I'm Mike. I've been thinking about solar panels for a while now. My electricity bills are getting expensive. What are the benefits of solar panels?
Yeah, for sure. You usually end up saving money as well as contributing to a healthier environment. Do you know how much you're exactly paying a month?
I'm currently paying around $200 a month for electricity. I've seen some spikes, especially in the summer. If I were to go solar, how long would it typically take to see a return on my investment?
Usually you see it from day one, Mike. You end up switching from what you're paying to the utility company to the solar company. Does that kind of make sense?
I see what you're saying, but I'm still a bit skeptical.
All right, you guys can see my sales skills are a bit chopped, but the agent is speaking like it's interested in solar panels, and we are the sales rep. So we can build on this and make the front end look a bit nicer. Like when we click start call, have it be like a Zoom interface, like we're actually on an online call. So let's start making the front end look a little bit nice. Let's start editing the front end by changing up this app config file, which is in the front end repository. We see it has a few things here like page description, page title, company name. So let's change those up to fit a solar sales roleplay setting. So we can change this description to practice your solar sales skills with AI customers. And then we can change LiveKit to sales training. And then page title would be solar sales training as well. And then down here, we can keep the logo, but change the accent to look a little bit more orange, like we're a solar company. The color I'm going to use for that is F59E0B. And then I'm going to change the dark accent to be FBBF24. And then instead of start call, we're just going to say start sales call. Oh, and we forgot to close up a quotation mark up here. But let's save that and see how it looks in localhost. All right, so it's looking nice. Over here at the top above localhost, we have solar sales training. Then we have that orange start sales call button. But we do want to change chat live with your voice AI agent. And for that, we have to go to a different file called welcome TSX. So let's go back to the code and change that up. Let's edit this welcome TSX file. And this is the file that makes up the main page you see when you go to localhost 3000. The first thing that I want to change is right here where it says chat live with your voice agent, which is what we were looking for. We want to say practice your solar sales pitch with realistic AI customers. And then the next thing that we should change is this paragraph section where it asks need help getting set up, change it to this tool. We can keep the styling the same and just say something like perfect your approach, handle objections, and close deals with AI power training. Let's head over back to localhost 3000 and see how that looks. All right, back in localhost 3000, you see the front end looks a bit more suited for this project, saying practice your solar sales pitch with realistic AI customers and start sales call. But if we click the start sales call button, it's just the same interface we've always had. So let's go edit that in our code. The first step we're going to take is head over to Canva. I'm just going to make a AI image for a headshot with Mike. So I'm going to say create a headshot of Mike Smith as you would see on a Zoom call, and click generate AI image and just wait for the image to be created. Now we see the image is created. We could click any one of these. I'm going to click this one in the top left corner and just drag it all the way out so that it fills up all this white space. Now we can download it and bring it into Cursor. Now take that photo that you just downloaded and drag it into the public directory of your repository. And you can see here now that we have it. I'm going to edit the sessionview.csx file so that once we start the call, we'll pull up that picture and it'll feel like we're actually on a Zoom call. All right, so add this to your sessionview.tsx file. You can find this in my GitHub repository that I linked in the description, or you can just simply pause the video and copy it over. All this is doing is it's implementing that Zoom style video call interface where we're adding a blue gradient, and then the picture of Mike that we included, we're putting that front and center, pretty big, 500 pixels by 500 pixels. Also, we're including our camera feed. So we're going to have a small tile in the corner because when we're on Zoom, it's not just who we're talking to that we're seeing. We should also be able to see ourselves in our own video. And then I also added this subtle background pattern so that we'd be able to see all this. So after you add this to your sessionview.tsx at about line 127, save this and go back to localhost and we'll check out the front end changes. Let's take a look at what we've added so far. So let's click start sales call. And you can see that blue gradient and Mike's over here in the middle, which is what we wanted, and it has that Mike Smith name tag on the bottom left. Let's edit the session view a little bit more so it looks a little bit nicer and we don't have those wonky audio bubbles in the middle. First, we need to replace the generic media tiles component with our own custom Zoom style interface. We'll remove this import right here on line 15 and add the components we need, which are these three imports right here. Video tile, use local participant, and import track. Now we need to set up our camera feed logic. We'll get the local participant and their camera tracks. So come down here to line 43, and what we're going to include are these three variables: local participant, camera publication, and camera track. Remove this line on 132 because we don't need the media tiles anymore. And let's add in the camera feed right under where we have Mike Smith's photo. So I'm just going to paste this in. And we're just going to have a small tile in the corner like it is on Zoom. We also need to adjust the chat positioning. So let's move it to the top by changing these two. And let's give it more space at the bottom right here by changing this line above the motion div. Finally, we can remove that white gradient overlay that looked a little bit weird with our setup, so we don't have to worry about it. Just get rid of it. And all right, with those changes, our session view should look a little bit better. Let's check it out in localhost. Back in localhost, let's click start sales call to see if our front end change is rendered.
Hello, I'm Mike. I've been thinking about solar panels for a while now. My electricity bills are getting expensive. What are the benefits of solar
You know, Mike,
panels?
you usually end up saving a ton of money and helping the environment. Now, how much would you say every month you're paying for power?
Well, my electricity bills are typically around $200 to $250 a month, depending on the season. I've heard that solar can help lower those costs, but I'm curious about the actual savings over time. How does the return on investment usually work with solar?
You guys can see it looks much nicer. We have our photo in the bottom right-hand corner. And when we're talking to Mike, we could actually see his name. We don't have any of this white mist on the bottom, and it looks like an actual online sales call. The last thing I want to add is a live transcriptions overlay. That's basically going to be displaying what the agent and I are saying in the conversation. This is super easy to implement. What we need to do is actually import use transcriptions because that's what we're going to be showing on the screen. And then if you come down here where we're declaring the state variables, we need to make this transcription variable with the use transcriptions function. And for the actual code so that it shows, go under where it says Zoom style video call interface and just copy and paste this. This will make sure that they show like subtitles at the top of the screen. So let's save it and check out our changes in localhost.
Hello, I'm Mike. I've been thinking about solar panels for a while now. My electricity bills are getting expensive. What are the benefits of solar panels?
You usually end up saving a ton of money, Mike, and you know what? You won't be having to pay your utility company, which raises rates every year. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in?
Saving money sounds great, especially with how my electricity bills have been trending.
Nice, and we see the chat overlay showed up on the top, and we could read what Mike is saying. That's it, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you need help, just comment below and I'll help you out. But other than that, I'll see you in the next video.